Hello, good evening and good night to another game review. This one here is Hollywood Hijinx, as you can see, by Infocom. Infocom are pretty famous for making a lot of text adventures, you would call them that probably, in the early to mid 80s, and by the early 90s the company went bankrupt because they didn't make the switch to graphical games basically in time. They had a few graphical games which were quite successful, but their mainstay was the text adventures. And when I say text adventure, nowadays you would call those things interactive fiction. It also says here on the box, because, well, they are really sometimes more like a playable book. But if you think playable book in the terms of choose your own adventure, that's not the case. Mostly they are much more non-linear, you have much more freedom. And I have a few of those here, which I will introduce in due time. And what makes these things interesting is their boxes and the stuff that they come with, plus they really usually have a good way to set you in this world that they're describing here. And for no particular reason, I'm starting off with Hollywood Hijinx. It was not the first and not the most famous of their interactive fiction pieces, but it's pretty fun and interesting. So let's turn around this thing and see what it says. There's a lot of back cover text here. So if you like reading books, you will have no problems playing this stuff. If you don't and your patience is rather short, this is probably not the game for you, but maybe you want to check it out anyway. In the future I might make other videos about interactive fiction and more stuff on how to get into that kind of games, easier to digest games maybe, although this one is not particularly hard or long, so it's also a good starter game. And the interesting part about these interactive fiction pieces of Infocom is that they used a virtual machine to compile their games into. And for every platform, for example, this one here is the Apple II version. For Apple II, C64, C128, PC, Atari, Amiga, whatever, they would just write an interpreter for this virtual machine, similar to what you have with the Java virtual machine nowadays. And they would just write the game only once, basically. So porting was very effortless for them. They could serve dozens of microcomputers, because back in the 80s, the computer market was pretty fragmented. Okay, so the setting here is Hollywood, and our uncle Buddy Burbank here, he's dead, and his wife just recently died, and we are about to inherit their Hollywood mansion. And this is supposedly it. But it's of course not that simple. Before we can inherit the mansion, we have to solve a lot of puzzles. And if you open the box, you will see, you will get a magazine about the Tinsel World magazine. Well, it's like all kinds of rubbish about the Hollywood stars, all made up, obviously, and it's really hilarious if you read through it. There's a lot of hints in here, and it sets basically the background story, so you should definitely check out and read through those. Well, it's not really a manual, but whatever Infocom packs in the packages, it's always worth checking out, and most of the time it's necessary to solve the game. So there's stuff in here about your aunt and your uncle, which helps you solve the puzzles. Dill pickles add years to your life. Not sure if that's important. Who will inherit the Burbank bundle? Hopefully us, but we will have to work for it. Yeah, and Buddy Burbank is dead. This is our uncle. Burbank's last film. Well, basically our uncle did a lot of B-movie type stuff. And yeah, there's actually an instruction manual setting you up what you can do, and I will show this, and that you should create your own map when you walk around the game. But you could also buy, back in the day, a hint book which would include some maps for the game. There's some notes about the authors, something about interactive fiction in general, some sample transcript, some commands that you can use to save and restore and quit the game. And of course, another advert. You can find a hidden treasure in your own home by using this nice swizzle stick, and you can get it for just only $12.95. Okay, so when you open an Infocom package, you always get so-called feelies, and those are not really necessary. Oh yeah, it's actual size, that's true. But they set you in the mood for the game. So actually, someone spent the $12.95 for this Lucky Charm swizzle stick. And here, look at that, an autographed photo from your Uncle Buddy. But when you turn it around, look at that. There is something written here, a letter. And this letter is actually sort of like a copy protection, because you definitely need this thing to be able to complete the game. So there was no copy protection on the discs themselves, but this was definitely necessary. And what else did we get here? This looks sort of like a letter. Oh, it's from our aunt, Hildegard Montague Burbank, called Hildebud, it seems. Oh, Hildebud. Hildebud is, I think, the mansion. We are supposed to inherit Hildebud in Malibu, actually not Hollywood, but Malibu Beach. And it's signed by Hildegard and Buck Palace and Dorothy Love Flank or something. And there's also a letter to us. And there's also hidden hints in here. Yeah, definitely you have to check this out. We have to keep this if we want to solve everything. And other than that, there's just this lonely Apple II floppy. Alright, we will come back to this in a minute. I'll pack it away for now, and we will have a look at the game. It's of course nothing much to see except text, but I will walk you through the first few scenes so that you can get a feel for how this game actually plays and what the humor is like in this. Because most of the Infocom games were slightly humorous, some were thrillers or espionage or science fiction themed, but there were a lot of comedy things. And yeah, let's have a look. Alright, so the game is rather small. You don't need a hard disk particularly. So, but you can, of course, copy it to your hard drive or run it from the floppy disk. The interpreter is just a few kilobytes. The whole game is less than 128 kilobytes. There are much larger interactive fiction pieces than this. And I'm going to use the Frots interpreter, not the one that it comes with. Because Frots is a very good Z-machine interpreter that runs any Infocom game and also some other games. And it runs reasonably fast. And yeah, basically you just get a bunch of text. So let's see what the game tells us. As night falls, the black limousine turns off the highway. It has all happened so fast, you think to yourself. Your aunt passing away without any warning. A funeral this afternoon, and now this unusual stipulation in her will. The limo pulls up to the front of the house. This is the end of the line, says the attorney, and you step out of the back of the limo. Remember, your aunt Hildegard's will stated you will inherit her entire fortune, if you can find the 10 treasures in one night. Okay, here's already what we are going to do. We have one night, we have to stay at the mansion, and we have to find 10 so-called treasures, artifacts from our uncle's movies, and we have to find them, and when you have found all 10 of them, we are allowed to keep the mansion. If not, we are not going to inherit anything. Alright. He hands you a photo of Uncle Buddy and a letter saying, "I will instructed that I give you this photo with a poem to point you in the right direction." That's actually the photo that we have in the box. You already saw that. And the letter we also know. Also this letter and here you need this. He gives you a flashlight. "Meet me at 9 a.m. in the living room with all the treasures and you'll inherit her entire estate," he says as the limo pulls away and disappears into the night's darkness. So the idea that you have to collect treasures is very similar to Infocom's first game, Zork, which is set in like a fantasy setting, and they also have to find treasures and put them in a treasure room, and when you get all of them, you win the game. In Hildebud Hijinx, it's a bit easier. You don't have to put them anywhere. You just have to find them, pick them up, and look at them. And then it's counted basically as, yeah, you've got the treasure. That's fine. Alright. Here it says it's copyright 1986. That's when it was published. It's a zany treasure hunt. And it starts with the first room that we're in, the South Junction. You're standing in front of the house where you spent many of your summers as a youngster. The old place is not as big as it seemed to you then, but it is still quite large. Stone pathways wind east and west around the house, and a larger main walkway leads north. A life-size statue of Buck Palace, one of the stars of Uncle Buddy's talent stables, stands here. He's holding a bazooka pointing north. Alright, so first thing, we are in front of the house. We don't have much. We can take a look at our inventory. We have the flashlight, the photo, and the letter. The letter too we can have a look at in real life, because it's in our box. And on the photo there's a poem. Probably should take a look now. Got it. The poem. Alright, when we read the poem, it says in the first lines, "Be brave as Sheriff Roy and fast as Blender in the West." Later it says, "Be bold as Captain Bob in Cannibal Buffet of the East." And last, "Be clever like the tailor in Vampire Penguins of the North." Okay, we have West, East, and North. Let's see what we can make of that. First, we're at the South Junction, so we go north. As you walk toward the house, a large black cat scurries across the path, heading toward Johnny Carson's house. Front porch. You're standing on the front porch of the house. Next to the front door is a regulation mailbox endorsed by Buck Palace. Beneath the mailbox is a doorbell, once rung by Sonny Tufts. To the south is a walkway. Alright, we can examine the mailbox. The Buck Palace endorsed regulation mailbox is closed. Well, open it then. Opening the Buck Palace endorsed regulation mailbox reveals a copy of the status line, a yellow piece of paper, and a business card. Let's take all. Okay, this doesn't work. In some games it works. Take status line. Okay. Take paper and business card. Okay, so let's examine the card. For fast service, call Roy G. Biv, computer service and repair. With a phone number. Might be useful later in the game. And let's check the paper. Which one? Examine the yellowed paper, of course. Oh, look at that. That looks like a map. We'll be able to figure that out later. But I already forgot what we were doing here. So we're in the front door. Can we open the door? Open door. You'll have to unlock it first. I think we don't have anything to unlock it. Can't unlock it from this side. So basically, at this point in the game, you are stuck. You can go around the house and explore the garden, but we won't do that yet because I want to show you how to solve puzzles here. CD, yeah, sure. Let's go back one place, okay? At the south junction, we saw the statue with a bazooka pointing south. It looks as if the statue has changed position. That is a hint. So, in the poem we read that we should be bold and brave like the guys in something to the west, something to the north, no, something to the east and something to the north. So let's try to do this. Turn bazooka. First thing was west. Turn the city of Bug Palace, the fighting letter carrier, to the west. Works. Turn I can use the history. Bazooka east. And last, bazooka north. You hear a click from off to the north. Well, that is good. We're at the front porch. Let's try to open the door. The oak door opens with a long squeal, and you hear hurried footsteps several rooms away. Someone is in here. But we go here anyway. It's pitch black. Well, we have a flashlight. Turn on flashlight. Okay, the flashlight is now on. This is the elegant foyer, covered in rich mahogany paneling. Your footsteps echo sharply in this large hollow space. A broad, graceful staircase sweeps upstairs. Pillared archways beckon you east, west, and north. The front door to the south is open. There's a coat closet by the front door. The door to the closet is closed. Alright, you see how this works. You will have to explore this house now, different rooms, and try to find the hidden treasures. Note that we just turned on the flashlight, and in some games things like flashlights have a limited lifetime. I think in this game it is not, but sometimes they count the turns or the moves that you can see in the upper right corner, and it will run out of battery at some point. But in this game I think it's not necessary. You can always save your progress by typing the word save, and we will just save it to the default thing, and whenever you die or run into a dead end, you can just restore and try again. And yeah, I'm not gonna tell you too much about this. There is a twist at the end of the game. It's not all as it seems, which you might have guessed already, because there seems to be someone else running around here. And yeah, it's a very funny and interesting puzzle game. It's pretty short. The writing is a little short as well sometimes, but it sets up the mood quite well together with the Tinseltown magazine and all the feelies in the box. So you really are on some kind of treasure hunt here in this game, and some of the puzzles are really rewarding because they make you think around a few extra corners, and you have to be inventive in some cases. But it's still, no puzzle in here is really unlogical or illogical. With enough thought, you can definitely solve all of those. And there are also hints available originally from Infocom. You can Google them nowadays. I think they're PDFs or text files. Because Infocom was very famous for providing clue books, the so-called Invisiclues, which were printed with invisible ink, and you had to wipe them with a special pen, and then you could read the answers. But nowadays they're usually just dried out, so nobody can read them anymore. That's why we have the text files or PDFs for that. And yeah, it's a very nice game, very nice little game. I think I would give it nowadays maybe 7 out of 10 points, because it's easy to play, quite a few nice jokes in there, forgiving and interesting puzzles, and as a novice you get quite a few aha moments already early in the game, because not all the puzzles are very hard. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and I think you might as well. So this about wraps it up. I thank you for watching and listening, and I say like, share and subscribe if you want to, and otherwise have a good night and see you next time.